Thank you for watching the virtual debate for the two runoff candidates in the Ward 7 Democratic primary. My name is Taylor Vance, and I am a local government reporter for the Daily Journal. Today, we have the two Ward 7 candidates with us. We have Willie Jennings, who is the incumbent councilman and a three-term member of the Tupelo City Council running for re-election. And we have the challenger in this race, Rosie Jones. There are no Republican candidates in the race, so one of these two candidates here today will go on to serve on the Tupelo City Council for the next 4 years. So let me establish a few ground rules for this event today. Each of you will get a 2-minute opening statement at the beginning. I will then ask a series of questions, and the same question will be presented to both of you, and you will each have 1 minute to answer the question. After that, I will ask some specific questions that are tailored to each of you about your campaign, your platform, or something that you have previously said. And these questions will be different and again tailored to each of you. If one of you specifically attacks or criticizes your opponent during this time, then the opponent will have 30 seconds to address the critique. However, I hope the debate will be respectful and remain focused on the issues. Then, after that, you will get a chance for a closing statement, and you have 2 minutes in that closing statement as well. Are there any questions about the rules? All right, we will now move on to the opening statements. We'll go in alphabetical order. So first, we will start with Councilman Jennings. Councilman, you have 2 minutes for your opening statement.
First, I just want to state just a few things that I'm looking that my record have shown that been accomplished, and then move on into that. And I just want to let the viewers know, my constituents, that the first time when I was elected in 2009, I listened to the voters, to my constituents, what they would like to see done. And so the first thing that they said they wanted done was in the community that I lived in, which was Haven Acres. That sewer was bagging up in people's houses for over 20, 30 years. And so we weren't able to accomplish anything of getting that done. So that was the first thing on my radar to get done. And we got that done, pushed to get that done. Now everybody's got their own line to the house, so we don't have any more sewage bagging up in people's houses, not like they were. And the second thing that really stood out to me was helping young people. We had a problem with kids dropping out of school. And I came up with the idea of a plant a seed program that would allow kids to work during the summer. You had to live in the city of Tupelo. We were able to hire at least 30 kids per summer. And that was like a work mentoring program. It's been successful for the last 10 years. The transportation that I worked on for 10 years to get to tuition to been in play for 2 years now, successful. The splash pad in Thorn Nicholson Park was a quality of life that people said they wanted, $750,000. That's what it cost to get that done, and we were able to get that done. The storm shelter / community center that said they wanted a place to meet, we was able to get both in one. That was a $1.2 million project. So, but all of this.
Okay. Councilman, your 2 minutes is up.
Okay, sorry.
No. We will move on to Ms. Jones. You have 2 minutes for your opening statement.
Hi, I'm Rosie Jones, and I wanted to thank you as well for the opportunity to come out and speak and tell you my views on the neighborhoods and the community in which I live. It's obviously I don't have all of those things under my belt, but it is some things that has to be addressed that's in my community, in our ward. And I would like to see all things addressed. However, I know they can't all be done at once. Now, we have a lighting problem in the perimeter of Ward 7, the outer perimeter. So I'm going to say if those things are not addressed, they will spill over into the area that does not need those things. We need lighting, we need a police substation, or we need more patrol. We want officers there that want to be in our community, not the ones that don't want to be there. Because when you send the ones in that don't want to be there, accidents happen, problems happen, the city becomes involved in messy stuff. Our streets, we have terrible streets in Ward 7, the outer perimeter of Ward 7. I was out this morning. I'm not the ward council person, but I was out this morning on Mitchell Road. If a car has to pull over for a flat tire or anything, the road has totally eroded away. So we have a few things that's important in Ward 7 that we must address. However, if we don't address the problems that we have in the outer perimeter, it will spill over into the part that doesn't need as much work or no work at all.
Okay.
Those are the things that I'm going to try to address.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Jones. Now we are going to move on to the questions. Again, this is the same question. They will be presented to each of you, and you will each have 1 minute to respond or to answer the question. The first question is about infrastructure. The question is, what do you believe is the most urgent or pressing infrastructure need, if any, in your ward? Ms. Jones, we will start with you first, and then you have 1 minute to answer the question.
Repeat for me.
Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry.
The question is, what do you believe is the most urgent or pressing infrastructure need in Ward 7?
The road. We have several roads that need sidewalks. We need several roads paved. And I think the reason that the roads are eroding away is because of something going on with the water system, because there's several ditches in Haven Acres that has been closed. Simply clean the ditches out. They closed up, they grew up. So therefore, the houses that's at the end of the road are getting water in their house. They might not have sewer, but they're getting water, enormous amount of water. So on Willie Moore Road in the curve, I have received a call, and I also have pictures of the road flooding and a car ran off in the people's yard. There's no road there. It's just sinkholes in the people's yards. That's the erosion problem. It's water, it's something going on. So we need to get people out to dig it up, replace what needs to be replaced, and repair the roads, because those are accidents waiting to happen. My daughter had a wreck there. So those areas, and lighting is another one. Without lighting, you can't see. A lot of things happen.
Right. Thank you, Ms. Jones. Appreciate it. Okay, Councilman, the same question to you. What do you believe is the most urgent or pressing infrastructure need in Ward 7?
Well, infrastructure can be considered a lot of things. Mm-hmm. Could be roads for new development. I agree that we need to work more on our roads and our ditches, and that's an ongoing situation across the city's flooding and across this country flooding. So my thing would be to continue what we're doing. The lighting situation, we just passed the budget last year. All the lights in the city of Tupelo will be changed to brighter lights. That's already been budgeted for. So it's just a matter of time getting around to every neighborhood. So I do agree that we need to maintain our roads more. It's a budget thing. And we got guys out now working on a lot of these problems that are being brought up for infrastructure. Infrastructure brings in communities and jobs. When like the exit off of Highway 6, Thomas Street, I pushed to get that done, $5 million project to bring in new development.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Now we are going to move on to the local economy. Tupelo is often considered the economic hub of Northeast Mississippi, but according to a study commissioned by Facebook recently, 61% of small businesses in Mississippi have recently reported that they've experienced some degree of lower sales because of the pandemic. So what do you think that you could do, or that the city as a whole could do, to try to help out small businesses if you were elected to the city council? This time we will start with Mr. Jennings first, or Councilman Jennings first, and you have 1 minute.
Good question. The pandemic changed everybody's lives, and the small business is one that caught it first. And so the city is working with them digitally, trying to help them stay in business. That's why we were mandatoring a lot of them curbside to stay in business. that helped a lot of small business. We got incentives they can apply for when they want to apply for a loan, a new building. We give them incentive, tax incentive to do that. So it's an ongoing thing that we're reaching out to the citizens of Tupelo.
The first thing to do when we have the pandemic, as far as I'm concerned, is try to get the pandemic under control. So the shots were just in hospitals, and they were in local areas, contained areas. So I have worked with state representative in a couple of doctor's offices here in Tupelo, and we now have them in several doctor's offices. So now we have, in clinics, in several clinics in our area. So now I'm working on trying to bring them out mobilely in the rural areas. I had one of my partners call him today to see if we can get it at the Boys and Girls Club and Haven Acres, because first we have to educate the rural areas. They're scared of it. They don't know what to expect. So we are going to go out and do a rally, speak with them, talk to them, give them the statistics on what's going on. And that way, maybe they'll be more comfortable and more susceptible to take the shot.
Yeah, so the number one issue that voters here in Tupelo have indicated that they really care about is affordable housing. And really, they believe that there is a lack of affordable housing here in the city. And so my question for each of you is in two parts. One, do you believe that there is a problem with affordable housing here? And two, how do you think that as a member of the city council that you could help address the problem for affordable housing? So Ms. Jones, we'll start with you, and you have 1 minute.
Yes, I do have a problem with affordable housing here in Tupelo. I think it's a problem. And the way they're addressing it, I would come back and readdress it a different way. The housing project that they have for affordable housing over on Otter Street, it built, I think, 78 homes. I'm not for sure. Don't quote me, but over 600 houses, I think, were torn down, apartments. So 600 homeless people and 78 houses built. Then if it's affordable housing, or is it affordable housing, or is it rental houses? Because the option to buy a home and being able to afford it at 15 years before you offered to buy the home, I would like to see it revisited at a shorter time, and credit also ran to see if you can, or if you have the credit scores to be able to become a first-time home buyer. So if you can buy the home, is that an option? Instead of having to wait so many years, I think it doesn't take 15 years to get your credit straight. I disagree with that. I feel like we have to educate and make resources available. And if you don't know how to get your credit together, then I feel like we should provide services to help them, because if it's an ongoing thing the way you have lived, then you're stuck in that bracket. We need to know that we have choices. If you know you have choices, then we should take advantage of those. And the only way that they know they have choices is that if we bring it to them.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Councilman Jennings, the same question. Do you believe that the city has a problem with lack of affordable housing? And if so, what do you think the city could do about it?
Great question. I've been fighting for affordable houses for years. And the one thing I agree with my opponent, that when we was turning down the apartment, I was against, because we didn't have a plan. So once we got a plan, I was on board. Now we have a plan we built. That was the first phase of affordable housing. Those are tax credits. They have to be done that way. That's the way it's set up through the government. But it is other ways to get her. And I asked Mr. Holzer yesterday at a meeting, they're going to have money available for those types of low-income people. We are in the process of building more homes, but they're done through private investors. Not the city doesn't build. We have land for them to build on. But I am addressing that, and we're going that in a hard way, and we are continuing to work on that. It's a big need for affordable housing in the city of Tupelo.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. Now we're going to turn to the issue of local law enforcement. The the city currently has a police advisory board that was created to be a liaison between the community and the police department. So the question to both of you is, do you support the existence of the city's police advisory board? And if so, do you have any proposals or ideas to strengthen it to make it more effective? And I believe we're starting with Mr. Jennings this time, and you have
great question. I support the advisory board because I was one of the ones we went to Albuquerque to learn about how that works. We spent a week out there, and we came back and implemented that, and I was able to appoint 2 people to be on that board to represent Ward 7. Each councilman have that duty to do that. And we're trying to educate the public that you have now avenue to go before the advisory board, but you first got to make a report through the police department. Then it can go through the advisory board to help you through that process. Because we do need more training in our city, sensitivity training and all, to have great police officers. So I've been trying to educate, and we're sending our personnel to junior college and senior colleges trying to recruit better police officers and better training.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. Ms. Jones, same question to you. You have 1 minute.
I wasn't aware that we had an advisory board because of some of the actions that the police take. Those jobs need to be given to people who want to see a change, who wants to be a help. You don't want to tell your children that if you're bad, the police going to come and get you. The police is supposed to be there to help. And when I was speaking about the substations, I want people at the substation and officers there who wants to be there, who can stop and ask the children what's going on. And so if you have an advisory board, what's going on between the advisory board and our communities? Because it's a break in there. It's a break somewhere. So the communication is horrible. It's poor communication. And if you want to get something done, you don't go to the table yourself. You go and you bring the community and see what's going on in your community. You have to walk the streets. You have to be there to know what's going on. However, now I know there is an advisory board.
Okay. Thank you. 1 minute is up. 1 minute is up. All right. The next question is about the city's budget. The council, by state law, must adopt a budget for the next fiscal year by September 15th, which means that is one of the first major actions that a new council must accomplish. In Tupelo's form of government, the city council does control the purse strings. And so the question to each of you is, how would you approach the city budget? And is there anything in particular that you would that you would like to see included in there, that you would like to see changed, or anything such as that? And I believe we are going to Ms. Jones first on this. You have 1 minute.
Well, it's obviously that I don't know about the budget because I haven't worked on the seat. However, I would like to see money that's allotted for Ward 7 to be used in Ward 7 where it's needed most. However, the things that's needed in Ward 7, I feel like it's not a lot. But you must address the problem, because if you don't address it when it's small, it grows and it spills over.
Good.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
So my thing is, the money that's for Ward 7, I feel it needs to be used in Ward 7 in order to make Ward 7 just like every other community in Tupelo. If we're a part of Tupelo, we need to be made a part of Tupelo and not forgotten.
Gotcha. Okay, Ms. Jones. Councilman Jennings, same question to you. How would you approach the city budget, and is there anything for the next fiscal year you would like to see changed or included or anything like that in the budget?
Great question. First thing you got to find out from each department. We have several departments, and each one of them have a lot of the budget to do, like Public Works, Park and Rec. They'll present a budget to us on what they need, and then we allocate that to have a budget. All the things that I have listed first in my presentation is approximately $10 million in the last 12 years in Ward 7, only in Ward 7. That's the infrastructure to quality of life thing. And so that's approximately $850,000 per year that was allotted in in the Ward 7 that was spent, have been spent. So we have gotten our share. You only can get so much per year. So having Ward 7 have gotten more than any other ward per dollar per ward in the last 12 years. I feel like that's a great accomplishment.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. The last question in the series that will be asked to both of you, this question is about confirming or rejecting department head appointees. A new mayoral administration will take over in July, whether that is the Republican candidate Todd Jordan or the Democratic candidate Victor Fleitas. That means that he will appoint people in vacant department head roles, such as the police chief. The police chief has announced he is going to retire, so that is a critical role that the next mayor will have to fill. And so the council is tasked with confirming or rejecting the mayor's appointees. So the question is, how will you evaluate which appointees you will reject or confirm? We'll go to you first, Councilman. You have 1 minute.
Whether I'm there or not, and I hope I do, I know it's going to be a big change in the city of Tupelo administration. The mayor has the prerogative to appoint a department head and his council to approve or reject. And my thing I would be looking at is that person qualifies what we're looking for. And if he's qualified, then I'll approve. We're going to have a new chief. Our other chief is retiring. We're going to have a big retirement in the planning department, which is a critical part of the city. So we're going to have a lot of new people coming in. And I want my constituents to look at the experience. You're going to have a new mayor and a lot of changes in administration. So you need experience to help that mayor because they're going to be new on the block. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be critical to that point.
All right. Thank you, Councilman. Same question to you, Ms. Jones. You have 1 minute. 1 minute.
I agree. But experience comes with a chance first, a chance to prove that she can do the job or whoever comes in this seat. Which, if I come into it, first I would look at his qualifications. And with the new mayor coming in, and if I come in, I'm new as well. So we'll all be learning together. However, I will look at the credentials and the qualifications and seeing if they deserve or need to serve on that seat.
Okay, thank you, Jones. Those are all of our questions that will be asked for both of you to answer. Now we're going to move on to the specific questions that's tailored to each of you. You also have 1 minute to answer these questions as well. I believe we're going to start with Ms. Jones first. Ms. Jones, you've talked a lot about wanting the substation in Ward 7. You mentioned it here today. Mm-hmm. If this were to happen, how do you plan to balance that proposal with concerns of over-policing in Black and brown communities? You have 1 minute to answer that.
They over-police to set up roadblocks. I need them to over-police to save some lives in our neighborhood. I don't need them coming to set up just roadblocks. They all for coming to set up roadblocks. I need them to come and save some children's lives. There was a young lady killed over there, 18 years old, didn't get to graduate. Her name was Tierra Dancer. Tierra laid out of there in that street a tremendous amount of time. That's not an option. The child should have been gotten up, or the police was called. I think they need to be able to respond in an ample amount of time. I think it's just needed. But I need them to come in and teach and work with and talk with the kids.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Jones. We'll go back to Mr. Jennings. A question. The question for you is about affordable housing. I know you also talked about this today, and yes, sir. Do you have a question? No. That's not the same question. These are different questions asked specifically to you. But you were just talking about this earlier today. But when the city hosted a ribbon cutting event for the affordable housing units near Ida B. Wells Street, you said that those were great projects that the city invested money in, and you praised the actions of the city. But as you alluded to earlier, before that, you voted against the city purchasing some of the blighted property that would use to construct some of those affordable housing units. So can you explain this discrepancy, and how will you work, with the new administration on housing issues going forward when you've had when you consider a little bit of this discrepancy that you've had on affordable housing?
Okay.
1 minute.
The reason I objected at first, because we didn't have a plan. I was trying to work with the people, the landlords, to refurbish those houses, and they flat-foot said they wouldn't do it. So they leave the city no option. The place wasn't fit to live in. So then we started turning them down. I was against the first phase, and then we had a plan, and I was for it. But we came with a plan that we could build. We weren't going to build a lot of cluttered apartments because it don't work. We were trying to build single-family affordable homes. So the city owns 100 acres in now, and we're letting the private investors have it at a lower price where they can afford to build affordable houses. They're going to have low income, middle income, and high income is the next phase. But a lot more affordable low income houses will be built in the city of Tupelo.
All right. Thank you very much. Now, these are sort of in the same category, but it's each tailored to your campaign. That both involves ethics in government and campaign finance issues. Mr. Jennings, earlier you did not file a statement of economic interest for the past several years until the Daily Journal pointed it out to you. These forms are important because they show where your source of income comes from, and so the public can know that someone in public office isn't trying to use a position of power to benefit a business that you may own or anything like that. Now, eventually, you did end up filling out those forms, and submitting those forms. But why did you let those forms slip? And do you commit to filing them on time in the future?
I commit to file them on the future, but that was I'll take full responsibility. I just slipped my mind, really, because a lot of us have done that. And I went back and caught them up, and it was unintentional. I didn't do it intentionally. I don't have anything to hide. I have an open record, so it will be caught up as we go forward.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. Ms. Jones, now to you. You also have not filed this form at all, to my knowledge, and I don't believe you still have submitted your campaign finance form that discloses who has donated to your campaign and how you spent your campaign dollars. Why have you not done this? Will you do this? And how can the public, trust that you will perform ethically if you are elected into office?
I will fill the paperwork out and I will submit it. However, I misunderstood the paperwork, and I'm a first-time politician that's just trying to stand up for her ward. And so I really didn't know. I misread the paper. I felt like the paper was saying if anybody made a donation over $200, it was to be reported. However, I didn't take donations because I am a first-time runner. So I just spent funds I had laying around. I made my own cards, and I did have the banners made, but they were not made all at one time. It was just here and there. I wasn't for sure about the area. So I'm just a first-time politician that did not understand the paperwork. However, I will correct that.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Jones. We are now going to move on to the closing statements. Again, each of you will have 2 minutes for these forms. Mr. Jennings went first during the opening statements. So now we'll go to you, Ms. Jones, so you can go first during the closing statement. You have 2 minutes.
Okay. My closing statement lies with taking care of Ward 7. Ward 7 would be my prime priority. I would love to take care of the outer perimeter and things that I feel shouldn't cost a lot of money, because I want to familiarize myself with the problems that's going on. I'm already familiar with my community. You have to build a relationship with your community in order to know what they need. So if you have a relationship in your community and you come to the front with questions, the questions should be answered and addressed. Once you bring the questions to the table and they can't be addressed at that time, whether it's money or time at that point, I feel like it'll be my responsibility to go back to my neighborhood, explain what's going on, and make them see that if they want help or they need to know about what's going on, I need them to come with me to the board meetings, invite them to the board meetings. And so they can see firsthand what goes on, be able to express their opinion about what's going on, and see how we can help from there. So the part is having a relationship between the office and your community. You must have a relationship, open communication.
All right, thank you, Ms. Jones. Councilman Jennings, it's time for your closing statement. You have 2 minutes for a closing statement.
Yes, I just want to say that I have a great relationship with my ward. We have 3 neighborhood association Ward 7. I attend to them once a month, each one of them. That's where we bring the city to the community. And I always invite them to come to the city hall. I constantly stay in contact on a daily basis with anybody. My phone is always ringing. I give them my number. They can call me. I'm available every day to my constituents. There ain't a person out there can say that I don't return my phone calls. That was one of the biggest things they wanted, return your phone calls. The substation, we have a substation in the community center that's been there from day one. A lot of people get the substation mixed up with jail. The substation is just for police officers to come by and be present in the community. That's all the substation is anywhere. It's not a jail. And we have the citizens can go up there and talk to them. And I encourage the police to go out in the community and visit us. And that's been done. We have to stay within our budget. We have a balanced budget the last 12 years. If you stay outside that budget, everything falls apart. So once you find out what your budget is, you can allot. The affordable houses is on the top priority of my list. It's been on that way from day one. Right now, we done furnished 150 apartments in Ward 7, 78 new homes, and fixing to get ready to renovate another 105 apartments in my ward. So it's a constant battle that what we are doing. And I feel great about the infrastructure, the overlays and the streets. I know we got a ways to go, but per year we have met that obligations, but we still have a lot of streets. We have over 400 miles of streets in the city of Tupelo. The thoroughfare program handles a large part of that. We have a $2 million for the overlay, and that's all we can spend per year.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. I appreciate it. All right, well, that concludes the forum for the 2 runoff candidates in Ward 7. I want to thank both Councilman Jennings and Ms. Jones for participating in this. And I want to thank everyone who's watched the debate. The date for the runoff election is April 27th. Polling precincts will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I would encourage anyone who watches the debate to call City Hall and the municipal clerk's office to find out which specific precinct you vote in, and for other questions about the runoff election. And please follow the Daily Journal for more coverage of municipal elections. Thank you very much.
Thank you.